All right. We actually live. Let a couple more people get in here. Let's see, there's 3 of you right now. We'll wait just a second, guys. So I've got the arc cam set up on the spool gun. Obviously tonight we're running the MTS225. So we've got it, you can see they're set up for MIG aluminum. I have the power set on. You can see I've got my wire size selected at 035. I'm running 035 4043. You can see we're on 3/16 material thickness, 356 inches per minute, wire speed, 20.5 volts. That is exactly what the power set recommended for my material size and my wire size. So we're set up exactly how the machine said from the first start. You can kind of see in this view, I got a little bit of a run started just to try it out before we went on the show. But I'm going to switch over. It's going to take me a little bit longer to switch cameras because I am working from the front of the table tonight instead of behind it. So bear with me a little bit, guys. I'll have to hop around. So you guys might take a little bit of a ride with the arc shot cam for a second while I'm switching cameras. So I'm going to go ahead and disassemble the spool out of the Parker spool gun. Let you guys see how to put it together real quick. We'll set it up, run the spool through it, show you guys how to set the machine up on the MTS225 over there, and we'll make a couple runs. This is a 3/16 inch thick 3003 aluminum fuel cell I was building for a buddy of mine like 7 or 8 years ago, and it was for a dump truck that he bought, and we ended up selling the truck before we got the tank finished. But so it's been sitting around my shop like 8 years. It's covered in dust. It's dirty. I was TIG welding it out, but we're going to spool gun it tonight. So I'll walk around to the front of the table and we'll pull this spool out real quick, show you guys how to spool up the Parker spool gun. All right, I'll go ahead and take the arc shot cam off for now. I got a nice reflection there. Let me turn on my studio lighting. Damn, it's a good shave. All right, so here we go. This is our Parker spool gun. It's the 360A. If you guys haven't ran this spool gun or ran a spool gun at all, honestly, this thing's pretty top notch as far as spool guns go. I was really impressed with this. Bob Moffett and I used this one for a video on the new 262 MIG we have coming out. And that was the first time I had used this spool gun. I was super impressed. So we got a little locking nut there. So right here, guys, this is your drive roll tension. You can loosen that up, fold it up out of the way. It's going to be a little awkward trying to show you guys this. There you go, spool's out. Oh, can we see in there? You can kind of see the internals of the gun. Now for threading this wiring, obviously it's going to be kind of hard to show you guys. You literally just feed it in here. And now it's through to the drive rollers. Just got to kind of poke it through a little bit. So that'll swing out. I know it's kind of hard to see. Let me get this in and I'll zoom in on it for you guys. So there we go. I got it through the drive roller. Pivot that back over. Light tension. And I actually, you don't want to be grounded. but you can take up that slack by pulling the trigger. Slide the spool down on. Here you go. You can see that. Pop this back out. So your drive roll just slides away. Clamp it back down. Make sure I'm lined up. Just a little bit of tension. Fold your cover back over. Now this actually keeps tension on your spool. So you fold it back. Flip that down. We're ready to run. Your little locking nut on the spool. Your little protection cover over the spool itself. Tighten it down. That's how easy it is to put a spool on this this Parker spool gun. So what was that? 2 minutes? Now let me see if I can get it on this other camera real quick. Show you guys how to hook the gun up. It's a little bit below the table. Let me zoom out. Oh, do I not have enough cord? We'll see how this works. All right, as you see, spool gun just plugs in where your normal MIG connection goes. I've got my ground clamp in the negative position. Your control goes right where your foot pedal control would go. So pretty easy to set up the spool gun to the machine. You zoom back in on the settings. Give me 1 second, guys. I said I'm working from the front of the table, so everything's kind of out of place. All right, so here we are on the machine. You can see we're on the power set mode. So with the power set mode, it's super easy. You just set your wire size, material thickness, and then you've got a little bit of range in here to allow some trimming of the settings. So the machine's recommending 20.5 volts for 3/16 material on 035 wire. So we can go down 1.5 volts. You see we can go up 1.5 volts. Ooh. And then obviously 394 for wire speed. So yeah, you just scroll through. Obviously MIG aluminum, power set on. There we go. That simple. So I'm going to set up, make a little short run. And I'm running pure argon, of course. We're set to 35 CFH. Let me zoom in on this tank a little bit so you guys can see how. I don't know if you can see this, but this thing is super dirty. I'm not going to clean it. I want to show you guys like absolute worst case scenario. So this thing is pretty grungy. It's grimy. Like I said, it's been sitting around my shop for, 7 years, 8 years. So let's make a real short run. Then I'll hook up the arc shot cam and we'll show you guys what it looks like. Again, we're running the MTS225. I got a little ahead of myself there at a couple points. I'm not claiming to be some wizard with spool gunning aluminum. I don't actually MIG that often, and the guys that see, a lot of people give MIG welders a bunch of crap that MIG welders, don't know how to weld. They're not real welders. There's more variables to MIG welding than there are TIG welding, and there's a lot of times I find MIG welding actually a little bit more difficult than TIG as far as getting the machine set up. So let's switch over to the arc shot cam real quick. Try to embarrass myself running this spool gun aluminum. Obviously, guys, if you got the MTS225 and you've been running TIG, you're gonna have to switch your if you have a single bottle of argon, you're gonna have to switch it over to your MIG inlet for the gas side. So no weave, just a nice run of the stringer. Put you guys on that again. I'm gonna rotate the camera up a little bit so I don't completely burn out my lens protector. All right, let me switch over to the this other camera real quick. So there we go. We ran, what, about a foot of weld. Zoom in a little bit. Ooh. Might have to open up a door. It got real smoky in here real quick. Let me zoom back out. So there we go. See, nothing super fancy. We didn't mess with the settings at all. That's the power set as the machine recommends it. Just letting it run. So for somebody that is not real experienced in TIG, if you got an MTS225, or MTS275 or any of the like the Cyclone series machines, I mean, you can lay down a pretty decent aluminum weld. What was that? The setup for the spool gun was maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes. That's actually only the third time I've put a spool back in this gun. So I'm not even an expert at it yet. But like I said, yeah, 3-4 minutes to put the spool in. It would literally take you maybe 30 seconds to a minute to hook up the spool gun to the machine. Power set, select your wires, your wire size, your material thickness, and then you're running. You're burning aluminum. So for someone that's not real experienced with TIG, this is this Parker spool gun. I'm telling you guys, this is a trick little unit. I'm super impressed with it. Let me swing around back and see how much you guys are laughing at me. Yeah, usually guys running MIG aluminum, I won't do a whip, but I'll switch back over to the arc shot cam. We'll run a little bit of a whip and then see what that looks like. I'm going to go ahead and open a door too. I got to open my man door and my garage door. It got real smoky in here real fast. Turn this fan around real quick. So, all right, we'll do a little bit of a whip or a forward and back step. Taking me a second to get over here. All right, so let's do a little whip. I know a lot of guys like to do a whip, do a MIG. It does kind of let you melt in that bead just a little bit more. All right, let me switch back over real quick. You guys can check it out. Typically, though, like I said, I like to run just a straight stringer. It lays down a little bit smoother. Don't pay attention to that guy. So doing the weave for me, it always gives a little bit ropier look, a little bit chunkier look, instead of laying down, you know, not quite as flat as just running like a straight stringer would. So that's why typically I like to run just like a straight stringer instead of doing the back and forth whip. But it also depends on what you're used to. Like I said, I'm used to just running a straight stringer and not trying to whip it, manipulate the gun so much. Wow, it got nasty in here. That would be one thing that'd be advisable if you guys are going to MIG weld in a small garage. Having some proper ventilation would be a smart move. It got real bad in here. All right, back around. All right, let me see real quick. Saw you, John. Derek, I keep freezing, but what type of contact to work distance should you keep? What would happen if you do like a, okay, so Derek, you want to see what we do, what happens if we do like a long arc, and then if we jam it in. So let's spin the tank around and we'll make another run. That's what we're doing. Just so you can see what it looks like when you're running too long or too short of an arc length. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start out kind of a proper arc length. I'm going to back way out, and then I'm going to jam the thing down in the joint. So here we are long arcing. So the wire's spitting a lot more. And here we go, jamming it in there. The main thing with jamming it in, for me, is I can't see my arc then. So when you're really jamming the gun down into the joint, I can't see the puddle. And so you're more likely to get, you know, a little bit high or a little bit low. Let me get some of this crud off of this lens. So you're more likely to kind of miss your joint or be a little more inconsistent. Let's start out kind of proper arc length again, and we'll go back to long arcing. See if we can get, the machine's going to compensate a little bit. So there's a real bad long arc. So let's swap around. We'll zoom in on that little run. Show you what you're looking for. I ran a terrible bead there. Spool gun is a little bit heavy compared to like a normal MIG whip, and then throwing that camera on there makes it pretty awkward too. So this thing's not wanting to focus that close. Let me see if I can. There we go. So you can see this is where we started the long arc. So it looks like, you know, when you're TIGging, it looks like, you know, you get like a bad gas or like contamination, like breezes blowing. And that's because you're not getting the proper gas coverage when you start really backing that thing out. The other thing I didn't mention, but you noticed I was, you know, pushing along. I was pushing the bead and not, you know, I wasn't dragging it. So you want to have your shielding gas go out in front of your puddle. You know, let's we're up a little bit closer. I was a little sloppy here. I was a little bit out of position and didn't have a good posture, so I was kind of shaking with my separated shoulder. Wasn't really wanting to cooperate. That's what I'm going to blame that on, is my shoulder injury. So you see here, this is we started out proper length. Right here is where we started the long arc, so it looks kind of cold, which is what we're seeing. What we're seeing down here too. That it looks, you know, it's super cold. So we started the long arc, got a little bit cold, went back to our proper arc length, you know, and laid in there real nice and flat. Come back around, see what you guys are. There we go. Richard, I'm trying to get up to speed. Yeah, I would say, I wouldn't even say not quite that far back, Derek. I would say more like a 1/4 inch, kind of like your standard, you know, like MIG distance, about a 1/4 inch or so off the workpiece. John, yeah, usually I've got 2 hoods, doing the live stream show, and then having another hood at work. So when I'm here, I do try to keep 2 hoods, where I've got one that's set up for MIG that I can mess up my cover lens and get it all nastied up, and I'll keep one hood that's nice for doing TIG. But oh, sweet, we got a adult site scammer. That's awesome. That's when we know we've made it. So if you guys got any other questions, that was really it. I mean, it's pretty short. It's pretty easy with the power set mode. It's super fast to set up this spool gun, like I said. So that didn't take actually nearly as long as I wanted it to. I was hoping that'd be more like 45 minutes, but it's just too damn easy. Like I said, if you're not super proficient at TIG and you've got an MTS225 or an MTS275, even, you know, one of the MIG. I want to say that. I don't know if the Parker spool gun is compatible with the older MIG series, but it is compatible going forward with the new Cyclones, because this is the gun we were using. I'm running 4043 035 wire on that, John. Yeah, I wish there's not even really a way to block those those type of people, unfortunately, unless we do like a private show. So anyways, guys, yeah, like I said, if you've got a couple questions, I'll hang out for a minute. If you guys want to see something else, now's the time. Because if that's it, that was really like I said, that was a lot faster than I thought it would be. So nice short show. I can get in and get to bed early. Like I said, we went through, a couple months ago, we went through using like a standard MIG whip, using like 047 wire, an oversized tip. Let's see if the tank leaks. Right now it leaked like a sieve, because it's about 10% welded. Unless you guys really want to sit around and watch me weld the whole thing out, I guess I could do that. But yeah, we went through using like a standard MIG whip with a Teflon liner, oversized tip, kind of showing you guys how you can get around not having a spool gun or a push-pull gun. But yeah, little Parker spool gun runs great. All right. Edward, as far as distance, what do you mean? Like the length that you can run your whip? Stainless in a spool gun works pretty much the same way. You run Trimix. I mean, it's really the same. It's just there's nothing really special about the spool gun other than the fact that the drive rollers are in the gun instead of in the machine. So as far as like actually welding, there's no difference. It's the same. It's just like your machine right here on your. So Edward, I'm going to go ahead and guess that you mean like the length of work distance. So like this Parker spool gun, since there isn't filler wire running through the actual whip. What is this? This sounds terrible. I don't even know how long that is. I think it's a 20-foot, 25-foot whip. So it's a super long lead. I mean, it'll reach, damn near to the end of my shop. Yeah, Edward. So that's it. Yeah. The main advantage of using a spool gun like this is I can have this thing, coiled up, all over the place, and it'll still run just fine because you're not running your wire through the actual whip itself. This is just your power lead and your gas coming in. So you could be as far away as you want, really. There's really no restriction other than your voltage drop. If you had 200 foot of lead, if you could make one. The drive rollers are replaceable. There are different sizes. It's the same type of deal with like your standard drive rollers. You can get them in a bunch of different sizes. The Parker comes standard with 035. This is terrible. I don't remember what the other. It's two sizes and you can flip them. I think it's 030 and 035. If Mark Lugo's on here, he'll be sure to correct me because I'm probably I'm probably wrong on that, but I think it is 035 and 030. Richard, it might be hard to pick up on the arc shot cam, but we are like right at spray. Every now and then, if you get a little bit of a long arc, it will kind of go back to short arc. Does Everlast make a pulse MIG machine? Yes, and I have one. We actually have the DPI series. And so let me zoom out. So that is the 253 DPI. That is a single and dual pulse, so it's short arc, single and dual pulse MIG. Those are a super powerful machine. We can, in the near future, we can get that back out. That's what I ran on the, like just running like a standard MIG whip. So if you go back through and like, there's one of these videos that's like how to run MIG aluminum with a standard MIG whip or something like that. That was on the 253 DPI Teflon liner, one size up on the tip, 53, 56, straighten the lead out, and you can run MIG aluminum just like you're running the spool gun. Obviously, your range is limited. That's only a 10-foot whip. That's about as far as I would go using a standard MIG whip. Yeah, Derek, there's nothing fancy about the consumables on this thing. I mean, it's your standard stuff. There you go. So I mean, there's nothing crazy about the consumables. Standard diffusers. Pretty typical stuff. So nothing crazy there as far as swapping consumables. There you go. Back my tip. Just a tip. Oh, let's see. But yeah, John, we can get the DPI back out. That machine is insanely powerful, and to be quite honest with you, the reason I haven't featured it as much is I just don't understand that machine 100% to where I'm confident in telling you guys like this is exactly how you set this machine up. I need to work with it some more I've used it on a couple side jobs, and I've got like a baseline of settings for like 2 different material thicknesses, and it kicks ass on those. But when you really dive into like the dual pulse, like that is a complicated machine. Once you get it set up and you understand and you read the manual what's going on, it gets a lot easier to set up. But that is a extremely powerful, extremely underrated machine in the lineup. Yeah, it'll pulse. It'll single pulse, dual pulse, short arc with the spool gun. It doesn't change. Like I said, running the spool gun doesn't change anything about how you weld. It just changes the position of your wire in relation to the machine. So as far as like the features of the machine and stuff like that, it doesn't change it. One thing with the Parker spool gun too, it doesn't act real kindly with the power set, but you can adjust your wire speed. There's a little dial. Let me zoom in here. Oh, there you go. Little dial here for your wire speed, so you can adjust your wire speed right here on the fly. So if you are, 20, 25 feet away from your machine, and your voltage is pretty close, you can dial in your amperage with your wire speed right there on the gun instead of having to stop. A lot of guys will use like the DPI, for example. We've got a bunch of guys using those for like aluminum boat work. So if you're down inside the hull of a boat, like a little mini jet boat or John boat, something like that, it can be a pain in the ass to get out of the boat to go adjust your machine. So that little finger wheel there comes in handy. Yeah, there's nothing specific to the spool gun as far as consumable goes. It's all like the Benzel style stuff. So that's like the MIG gun that came with my 253 DPI takes the exact same consumables as the Parker spool gun. So everything transfers back and forth. It's real nice. Oh, so here we are, 30 minutes. So if that's it, guys, tonight kind of caught up on me, kind of snuck up on me. We're doing a bunch of audit work at my day job, so I've been running kind of ragged. So I didn't have a whole lot of time to plan for tonight, so that was a nice, easy, short one for me that I knew we could bust out real quick. Looking forward, still trying to source some magnesium here locally. Planning on doing the anodized like bump method. I've got a notebook over here that shows some future show stuff. But if you guys have an idea for a future show or something you want to see, email me. It's jesse@everlastwelders.com. Just send me an email. Find me on Instagram, TikTok. I'm an admin on the Facebook page. Welcome, Paul. Just as we're shutting down. You like that? It's a lot cooler in the wintertime. But yeah, if you guys have an idea for a future show, reach out to me. Like I said, Facebook, I'm an admin on the Facebook page. TikTok, McCollum.weldfab. Instagram, McCollum.weldfab. Jesse@everlastwelders.com. If you need help with something, same thing, reach out to me. Feel free to send me a message. I'm more than happy to help you guys out. That's exactly why I'm here. So if that's it, then sayonara. We'll see you next week. Thanks for coming, guys. Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central. Remember, weld mean, weld green.